We got 9 air conditioning units.
Anytime there's a price increase, they do it across the board for every item. Well, it's items
3 of them use
that you got on the stock that you've already bought and paid for sitting on the shelf
Are now increased.
are now increased, so I pay a higher tax rate on stuff that I should have had a lower tax rate on, because I actually paid less for it. But they're basing it on the next item coming in.
Hey, boss.
It's a heat core, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no reversing valves or nothing.
But
It's not a heat
I'm still talking about diesel fuel. If they'd make me president for a day, I'd ban DEF fluid completely and drop diesel fuel to 25 cents a gallon. Because if you done diesel fuel 25 cents a gallon,
They need to go to heat.
everything would go down, because everything's got diesel fuel tied to it.
Yes, there.
All right.
Hell, give diesel fuel away if you want to.
That's what it's like. I didn't know that.
Too late now, I just filled it up.
I know, right?
Just filled up, man.
And I ain't real sure how that little store right there across from Ingles, the one that I used to think was just a money laundering store, you know, they opened it back up and it seems to be thriving finally.
The one that is a mud laundry.
Yeah, but for 15 years, there was never but one car in the parking lot, and that was a guy working the register. Well, now they're selling diesel fuel for $2.99. So it's a lost leader.
You know that guy lives in the back of it.
Yeah.
That's why he,
I seen Clark
for
County.
years, he was open 24 hours a day, but now he lives in.
Milton Garland built
I
that.
guess he eats roller dogs and taquitos.
I guess so.
Brian's not coming.
Okay. Well, I appreciate y'all coming. Madison County, for the record, we got the cameras on?
Yes.
All right, Madison County Board of Commissioners, 2025 Board Retreat, November 14th at 9 a.m. Several things to go over this morning. We wanted to keep this a narrative of building projects coming up. So before you, there's a few items, and I may have to step away. I'm gonna let Christina and Susan do a lot of the speaking on the funding side of this and how it's gonna come about. I think it's laid out in the proposal here. But I wanted to talk about the pictures. I got on that board a little bit far away, but you've got them here in front of you. These are the site locations that we've pretty well narrowed down. There's only one that's still in question. Alan, you know what that's about? The same one from yesterday. Mayfield? I don't either. So what I've done was I put the chart up there at the very top showing the health department being the very first focus. Due to the need, I had a Board of Health meeting yesterday, and I ran an idea by them about the location of it. And so the property we originally picked out was in front of the tower at EMS. And I did not print that sheet because we changed it up a lot over the past day or two. I talked with Alan and Paul both, and was going to pothole that property, which we do feel like it is outside the zone of an old landfill. But just for practical purposes, we were going to pothole that whole strip right there. And we originally thought we'd put the health department, which would just be adjacent to the current health department, but across the road up the hill, across the dirt road that goes down to the shooting range and the lift station. Well, it's going to take, we got a bid yesterday back from Gunnels. It would take somewhere around $75,000 just to get a pad built there, because it's in a little bit of a belly. A lot of dirt will have to be moved on that. So I got to thinking, I still like the location, but I got to thinking, you know, because of the health department, I feel like it would be better served to bring it up here in town. And this one sheet you have here that shows the building on the left-hand side, that sheet right there. All right, that sheet is the city hall. So we've got a 4.5 acre tract right there. And so in the Department of Health meeting yesterday, I asked them how this location may better suit them to be up in town and utilize that parking lot, which would save us a couple $100,000. This particular ground is good, and it already has a fall, and because of the way the health department's currently designed, which I brought the drawings there if anybody wants to look at those after the meeting, that's the actual footprint. We're going to reuse that exact same set of drawings for footprint size and building, or individual room layout. Yeah, we all know there's an electrical update from 2003 to 2018, which all electricians will be familiar with that, plumbers will be familiar with it, heat and air companies will be familiar with it. But this particular building, me and Alan was talking yesterday, I think I'd rather put this building on a crawl space instead of a slab, because the land already lays perfectly for it. It gives us access to get the air conditioning units out of the attic and up under the building. That land has probably about a 5% fall on it, which would put us, rough estimate of about a 5 or 6 foot crawl space on the back end of it. So, talking to the health department people yesterday, they love the idea of being up closer to town. They look at it like the health department would probably do a little more thriving because of the fact that people's going around that building at 20 mile an hour around the courthouse. They'll see it, they'll notice it. For recognition standpoint, a lot of their advertisements will say it's a roundabout in Danielsville versus at 2497 Highway 98 West. So they loved it. That particular lot is really site ready, other than digging footings and a minimal amount of grading, just to shore it up a little bit. If we choose to leave it at the rec department, across from rec department, let's say that, underneath the tower at the EMS station, then we will probably be 3 or 4 months out minimum for getting the pad site ready. So, that's topic number 1.
So we decided that there's no suitable building we currently have in hand that's suitable housing.
No, not the health department, no, sir.
Now, the current health department's about 7,500 square feet. We don't even own a building that big. Matter of fact, we are.
What they told us is 2,400 square feet.
It's 120 by 65. So, anyway, so
That's 7,800.
yeah, it's around 7,800. The only current building Madison County even has is the old jail, which is adjacent to this besides City Hall currently, which we intend to bulldoze. The reason I laid those out step by step is there's a little bit of a reasoning to that madness. Health department being number 1 because it's the most important topic. It's the second. But with that being said, I got your drawings there. I know that other camera will pick it up. The current road department building, the current EMS station as it stands today will be converted and used. Once we go through the chart and build everything accordingly, the current EMS station will become the road department. It will also become the water department, all in one facility. Everybody's got one utilities to go to. That building is laid out pretty well currently with the offices, because a lot of the bunk rooms will not become bunk rooms anymore. They'll just become offices. It's a drop ceiling. It's an in-house frame job. There's nothing load bearing because that's a red iron building. But in order to move those offices, I've got to get EMS out of it. So going back to the first picture, I get the health department off first because it's the one currently sinking. The left-hand side of the building now, its floor drains are 6 inches below the toilets, and there's no way to jack them up because it's under slab. As we're all aware, Ramjack will no longer touch that building, too much liability. So, if we agree that we can build this building, now, I have spoken with the health department about a lot of the things inside the current building, because we're building the same footprint, all the cabinetry will come off of that wall and go back on the new wall. There's a lot of reuse. So we're not having to fully build a brand new building. A lot of the interior double doors that they've got, we'll take off this building and put on the new building, because that building over there will eventually be one of 2 things. It'll just be an empty storage building, or we bulldoze it to get it off our insurance. One of the 2. But it will no longer,
Don't let bulldoze.
yeah.
We want to do it,
Plumbing underneath
I was going to use that as a record retention.
Yeah, the record retention will be perfect for what we're really needing.
Yeah.
Get out of
But
the
it really
whole
don't need
field.
to be habitable, because if something shifts immediately, then a building may fall on it.
It's just
So
a bit of
we'll probably
plumbing,
just
not a-
leave it there for purposes, but that's the only thing it's good for.
But we got a grant to build it.
Yeah. I commend the architect that drew it, because he highlighted there was a problem, and I just don't know how it got moved forward, but here nor there. So, I think we've got a good foothold on building, the current building, because we have the current drawings. Everything else that'll be updated will be by the electrician, the heating and air company, and the plumber to bring it up to today's standards. Everything else is already ADA acceptable. There'll be some interior rooms that'll change, where they have 4 exam rooms now that's very small. They want to go to 3 and make the other ones a little bit bigger. It's all preliminary stuff on the inside. No real big deal in any of that.
So those plans suitable for 15, 20, 30 years down the road.
Yeah, that building's pretty good size.
According to the health department staff, yes.
Yeah.
There are some walls that they're wanting to move around, that they've decided with some of their exam rooms, they're wanting to kind of shift and stuff, but the overall blueprint, yes.
Would the concept be continue to house environmental services in there with them?
Talked about that a little bit yesterday, and they really don't have a preference. I mean, they only use 2 rooms, like 2 offices, one for the inspector and one for the secretary. I think there's actually 3 offices in it. One's really small. They're fine with staying in this footprint, or if we choose to move them over to the road department building with water and then septic, we can. They don't care, because they're going to be.
The reason I asked that question, one of the, and Dennis actually has experience in this, one of the concerns we have with people that are seeking permits, if we go to this office to get a permit, we go to that office to get the plat, and we've got to go to the health department to get the septic stuff. So, you know, has the thought been put into, is appropriate, and could the environmental services part of that be moved in an area where they'd be just one step away from building permits?
They're not picky as to where they go. I think they'll be open to concept of moving. I talked to Kelly Henson yesterday and, Scott Sapp. They were like, hey, wherever you want us, we'll move. We just know it. And they may actually stay in that portion of the building. They actually asked about that yesterday. Said, well, our end of the building is perfectly fine. Can we just stay here? I told them we'll cross
I
that
was
bridge when we
just
get
thinking
there.
from a standpoint of user friendliness, as people come in seeking permits, have to go here, there, and John to get everything they need.
Well, in reality, that'll work better if they were down here, or they were down there, or over there, one of the two, which may come to fruition, because that building is big enough. You gotta remember that EMS station over there, if you haven't walked through it, it's got a large training room on the backside that can be converted to office. We need to put a couple exterior doors on it, to freshen the look up of that building. 100%, I would not let that EMS station continue to look like it does from the road perspective. I would probably re-brick it, put some exterior doors on it for accessibility for the water department, have its own doors, for road department have its own doors, and if we choose to move building inspection and permitting over there, there's plenty of room for that, and Health and Human Services can go with it. That would be no big deal. But in order to do that, I have to skip to number 2. Number 2 is I gotta get EMS out of that building in order to do that. So 2 locations, again, same thing, right in front of the tower, right in front of the current EMS building. You have a set of drawings right there on that, attached to that page. They're all hand drawn, but they're pretty to scale. I've never needed a set of drawings to build a house personally. I just need a hand drawn, tell me what you want. But yesterday, we thought about the lot where it used to be the old tax office, right in front of Danielsville Fire Hall. You know, we got that lot right there, which was graded off when they tore down Louise started out. Well, actually, Louise started out up on the corner, but then they built the old building behind it, and Anthony and them tore it down. Allen and them tore it down.
Oh.
So that particular lot will work. Now, from an EMS standpoint, what we talked about was they really didn't want to be up on the road and right in the line of sight, because everybody and their brother will want to stop and check their blood pressure versus buying a blood pressure cup to take home with them. This particular location, as she's showing right here, is right here. This is the old EMS station for 40 years. It's now the maintenance shop. But this building here, we could actually use this lot because it's really never going to be sold for business purposes because it's on that alley here. And this is a pretty good embankment. So EMS driveway here, building sits basically where this tree is, and the front is a parking lot. Access to our bays to come out, hang a right, and you're at the courthouse, and you're at the schoolhouse, or wherever you want to be. That site, again, is primarily ready. If we do any grading there, it'll be cut dirt. So if that building could be on a slab for the purpose, at least the bays would be, obviously. The living quarters could or could not, it wouldn't really matter, but the land already lays correctly for that. We might pull a little bit of dirt off the top just to roll it to the bottom to level up a parking lot, but that was really the only grading that would need to be done on that lot.
It's more of a fall than you think. It's going to be cut down on the top side.
That's what I'm talking about.
Cut down on the top side, but it's got a good swell on the back side anywhere where all that water comes to the fire department and goes.
Right.
You got two drains, one on each side of the road, and the drains going down.
The other unique part that's really in our favor is right here, this red line is a cross drain that feeds this creek bed. So any water that we create from impervious surface, it won't have far to travel until it dumps.
But Todd, if you go straight up, next in front of the fire hall right there,
Right here.
yes, you got one drain going straight down behind the maintenance building on each side of the road right there.
Yeah.
You got pipes already in the ground.
Yeah. This is running to the
Parallel,
current creek,
yes,
which is
that's
the
right.
current.
Both of those are parallel right there with that drive, going straight behind the maintenance shop.
And while she has this screen up, this is the location for the health department that I'm talking about, right there. So we'll have the current parking lot, we don't have to build a new one. We would widen this little driveway here about 4 foot, which is, it's not much of a driveway anyway. And we could do employee parking around back, just a small lot, because I think they only have 7. I counted their parking places yesterday. Total parking places for staff and visitors is 28. So that would still leave the parking lot open for weekend functions because they're closed anyway. So pretty good location there for that.
The EMS station there, you have good, you feel comfortable with it, ingress, egress?
I think getting out onto 29 is gonna be a little tricky. I mean, there's just more traffic to deal with than what I think. I mean, obviously, you know, I haven't pulled out of there very much, so, it looks a little busy, but, I mean, you know, if you're running license sirens and the car stop, we can get out about the same.
Currently, they're on the road running 55 lights that pull up to the stop sign. That road is, at that location, is 25 lights and sirens. So, and they have, if they need to, that's an open parking lot, obviously, so they can always just pull over and let them out. There's a separate way. They could come this way, but now you got to avoid this speed bump that Danielsville
So
has.
it's not going to come out on Veterans Drive,
Yeah,
period.
yeah, it just,
That'd be really smart. And the last meeting you had asked specifically about their call radius for Danielsville versus others, and we talked about that specifically putting it in town, and me and Bobby talked about that, and he shared some graphs. For Danielsville, it's like their main hub,
Yeah.
so they respond countywide. They're not
Where's
restricted to a district.
Right. Danielsville's the backup to everybody. You know, so if Hull is out, they're going to Hull. If Comer's out, they're going to Comer. So they're unique and they're in the middle almost. So they are the backup. Danielsville's, I mean, it's not the busiest because obviously Hull runs the most calls, but they're not far behind.
So when we talked about that specific numbers, there's not north or south or one side of the city that makes more sense than the other, but we did look into that.
geographically, I want to say, what is it, Bobby, from the current EMS station, the Isla station?
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5
Yeah,
miles.
it's 3.5 miles. So this will get them a little more centered towards Comer, a little more centered towards the Harrison area, a little more centered towards the Diamond Hill area. Anyway.
Yeah, my only real concern is potential increase in congestion coming out.
And it could.
How much, if it's school time, school start or end of school time, you will have a hard time getting out of that.
You could.
Yeah, that's just one issue.
So maybe that intersection gets revamped to put some kind of emergency lighting in somehow.
Well, yeah, I guess you could always put like the emergency vehicles entering and, you know, the flashing
The
lights.
flashing light.
Yeah, I mean, you're faced with that either way, because if you get a call at Comer right now, you gotta go through the other roundabout.
What's that little road by the Ag Center, what's the name of that?
Hope Thompson.
When that road becomes, yeah, when that road's developed into what it should be, in my mind, it would be relatively easy for a lot of the bus traffic from the Danielsville Elementary, the Holt Academy, and the high school to be routed through that road to get to 98 to go where they go, rather than everybody take a left out of those facilities and drive through Danielsville.
Well, when you go into 98 from Hope Thompson, that's gonna be a right turn only, going out.
But right now, the high school traffic, bus-wise, the bus route right now is, what's this road?
Scout Hut.
Scout Hut. That's your bus route. They don't, no longer come up Madison Street and go around the roundabout, unless they're going to Harrison.
Yeah, they got one that, I guess the online person over there escorts them to and blocks 29 for them to get out on the 29. I think there's 7 or 9 buses.
There's a bunch. I've seen that line. And when they stop it, they let them all flow at one time, so therefore they don't have to hold up traffic.
When you go out Madison Street towards Comer, towards the middle school.
Yeah. Now, that's a whole nother mess out there in the mornings.
Well, we might want to make sure we're thinking about that, because that can create a problem for you.
Well, is there a means in this, if we're gonna concentrate buildings in this little block area right there, is there a means to evaluate whether we could have the employee parking, group that together, and not necessarily to cut down parking space, but so that we don't trap ourselves, and if we need to expand something, we don't have a way to do that.
Yeah.
Chairman, the other thing, I just thought about it, they have a lot of festivals up there in that parking lot. Is there a way that we could isolate us a path in and out?
Well, yeah, so me and Alan talked about it. Whenever we do the health department building here, we'll probably recoat this parking lot, like repave it, because it's pretty cracked up. It is our parking lot. We'll probably recoat this parking lot, reline the parking lot, and then actually Government Circle Road, we just need to stripe it and make it a true road. Because there's probably going to be a little bit of 2-foot widening down through here anyway. I would tell you that going around Government Circle today, probably less than 10 cars a day go around through there. And if they do, it's just trying to avoid that first speed bump. Or somebody's got it logged up trying to get in a hardware store or the bank, which the bank's fixing to move. I don't know if y'all heard that or not, but it's coming.
The what?
The bank.
The moving?
Yeah, and it ain't announced yet, but it's moving
Okay.
for y'all to know. Commercial bank.
So the fire department is there and they get out all the time. I've never seen them sitting at the end of the road. If they have to go, I mean, from my experience, if you got that much of a deck when you're coming out into traffic, what you're calling the parking lot, everybody sees you. And I don't know, if they're coming from where they're at now and they go through this intersection, it's the same thing, no matter what time of day it is. And I would say I see you guys go past there way more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good part is that you've got about 300 feet right here of
Right.
line of sight for anybody coming. If you've got your lights on, they're already seeing you.
Yeah, right.
So they're already preparing to stop. It ain't like you're coming up to a blind stop sign with trees and nobody sees you there till you're there. So, pretty good location. That jail,
You
what,
mentioned the speed bump. I mean, there's just one between
it is.
the VFW and the.
Correct.
I mean, we can petition to get that.
Yeah, to
If you move it back towards the creek,
They would.
and then if, put it in the creek.
it gives you a second,
It gives them a second out.
it gives you a second out.
Yeah. I mean, I know why they done it, but I get it. But eventually, we're gonna tear that down, and which will free up another whole deal. But I can't do it now because I have no place to house probation. Probation's in that building currently. So, The thought process is, again, following the chart, I get the EMS station moved, I get the health department built, EMS, both of these can go on at the same time, believe it or not. These two projects can happen at the exact same time. So, going to the third project.
But on
Yeah.
just call that campus. You mentioned the stormwater is running down to the creek, but are we issuing a fiat saying that we're not putting anything in, we're not gonna build, because obviously we're gonna increase impervious surface, so are we violating or are we claiming executive privilege to say that we're not putting in anything? I mean, because
We talked about that,
Yeah.
Or do we feel confident what's there can handle it?
Oh, it definitely
Oh,
is,
yeah.
that's, it's 18,
Well, you're gonna get
24,
the-
but
Yeah, but you're
it's
increasing,
Impervious surface.
you're increasing the impervious surface. And what Derek's talking about too, if the county decides that we're gonna
do as I say, no, as I do.
do what we want to,
Yep.
then we're gonna be faced with some pretty awkward situations when folks walk in here and say, well, you didn't, why do I?
but, and Alan and I have talked about that, we've talked about getting with John to do some stormwater management plan, one to have, but two, I think that they feel comfortable with the pipe that's in the ground there.
And we could catch it,
You could put a retention pond behind my shop.
I just don't know where that property line exactly goes. Where we at?
Yeah, we own both
Yeah.
sets of property.
I don't know, I don't know where this line's at right here, but we could definitely put one right here. There's an old gas tank right here that's above ground, that's the only thing, that one line comes straight down, and the other one's right on the other side coming straight down. I could not find the exit point, I just wanna walk down the hill yesterday. But both of the lines are coming right there, there's a drop inlet here, and then there's two drop inlets right over, right back out already, so.
Well, bottom line, we just need to know that what we're doing is.
Yes, my year is too much of a drop, but you'd have to really do some building up, so it would have to be right up here if you did a retention pond, but there is room there to do.
And it would stay on our property, because we own both parcels.
That's where all the water travels down anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if we're looking at that, and we know we have things in the future that we may wanna do in that property, because you got also the property that goes around the shops, that we still have around the fire department.
Yeah, that's not a bad
It's a
idea.
conversation of, instead of piecemealing this thing, it's like, look at that as a campus.
Yep, now's the time to get it right, for the whole picture.
That's a really good idea, considering the health department here. So the way they ditched this, because it was ditched years ago, it would be a great idea to come in here and put another small retention pond, I mean, just a small one, to slow that water down that travels down through there behind the fire department. Which again,
And I'm saying, if you look at the whole campus as a whole, you might only need a small one down there. I mean, you're not increasing, you're taking up green space, but then each time you look at something and redo it, you almost have a little regional or campus plan fund. You don't have one there, you don't have another one up there at the health department, you don't have another one over there if we do something at the shop building. It's corporately rolled into it, and then when we have a need for something else, where we tear down the old jail and you build something there, and if it's a bigger footprint, then all of a sudden now you got, what do you do with that water?
I'll get John to do a plan just like he did. He just finished one for us for the rec department, and it'll show what we need to catch that whole area if it was all paved. We'll assume all lots paved, and we'll do it, because that's eventually what's gonna happen in that little campus area you're talking about. So yeah, that ain't no problem.
How many people are currently housed in the old jail in the probation officer?
Two.
Two.
And now they see probation
They see a
all day
lot
long.
of people come and go.
It's very busy, because you have state and
There's a car
county.
there almost all 8 hours a day. Somebody's either coming or going, or more. But we gotta fix to that. So, right now, I think we're good on both of these. After we get a site plan of stormwater, and we can figure that out. Bobby's already drew us on one of your pages there. It shows the floor plan, which again, I don't know that y'all would even be interested in that, but he's done a really good job laying that out.
I took it last night, Chairman, and I just whipped it, because it would have been a little funny. I've got the new one, but all it is just the same building, the same print, it's mirrored over.
Okay.
Everything was on the bays, he was trying to get double storage in the bay area. With this blueprint, I think he's only gonna get 3 instead of 4 in there. They're trying to eliminate some of the storage buildings we have up there, just the carports and stuff, that we keep the extra ones
out back.
stored in and everything, so.
All right. Because of the size of that building, we may use engineered drawings, an engineered red iron building. We have a couple guys here in the county that sell them. One of the new companies that's building on 98 West, he owns All Steel Construction, so we may look at, because of the spans, once you get out so wide, we'll need to swap over red iron to get that width. So we may look at doing a red iron shell and then framing it in our shell, and then brick and block after that. Consider we're going 3 bays. 3 bays make this one go push your span out too far. So anyway, comfortable. If everybody's comfortable with the health department and this one, we'll get one site plan for stormwater for all of them, which is not a big deal. And then at that point, we will keep you updated on the progress on these 2 buildings. We'll get into the finance side in a minute. Moving on around the corner here to something that could be in the works while we're doing these other 2. And that is that big tract of land right there where the Strickland house sits. Please look attached to that picture. You will see a drawing that I proposed. That again is a roof-only structure with office fronts in the back. So, when we got to talking about this and talking about trying to keep that surface, that rubber surface for pickleball, it's like a real soft type asphalt, rubbery deal. In order to keep the longevity on it, it don't need to be in direct sunlight every day. Your tennis courts at the high school is a good way to note that, because they started out red and now they're pink. So it won't be about 4 or 5 more years and they're going to be redoing them. I don't really feel like doing that. So I looked online for covered structures. That building will be 120 foot wide, red iron. The front 40 foot will be new offices for the rec department, which will get them into something ADA acceptable. I'm sorry, you don't have it? Okay. That gives 6 pickleball courts and 2 basketball courts under one roof line.
Open side.
Open side. Only thing that's not open is that front 40 foot for office space, but we will kill multi-birds in one stone with that plan.
We did talk about, netting on.
Yeah, depending on the sun.
That would be something on 98 side.
But
Yeah.
not enclosed.
No. We have pictures of a black netting type material that mounts in between the red irons, and it rolls up and rolls down. But it'll also give lighting for the evening, because there's a lot of people like to play in the evenings. LED lights down the center of that building should be ample for that. It also gives an area for concessions if we choose to put a small concession area, even if it's nothing but vending machines. But mainly, more important than the pickleball and the basketball courts, is we have an office that's accessible. Because how we have it pursued so far, I have no idea, just to be honest. We do have, I don't have it in this packet, we do have the drawings from John Phillips. Alan has got the pipe sizing.
They're in the packet.
Oh, are they? I'm sorry. That must be part you put together.
Yep.
There you go.
That's all the.
Gotcha. That's all the locations and pipe sizes that has to change for the rec department to get it up to cover. And what we done was we just assumed in John's request that everything you see on this screen from here to the current asphalt is being impervious surface. So they took that into account. Because even though that building will lay here, they'll be parking here, this will be parking here, they'll be parking here, these tennis courts go away, this will be parking, they'll tie to this current parking. So we just assumed everything you see right there is impervious surface in that scope of work.
volleyball, not true.
No, not these.
Our volleyball utilizes the gyms, especially this one out
We
back.
use this one, yeah.
And if y'all haven't had a time to walk in that thing, please do. Oh, man, it's nice.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Paul, Alan, mainly Paul, it was Alan's knowledge at the front side and Paul's knowledge of getting it completed, but you would never know that old gym out there if you walk in it. It's beautiful. So, these are just thoughts that we would like to pursue on. Shelley has looked at this, Angela, everybody under the sun. That particular piece of property, Alan will tell you, he's already flagged it. If you go out there, you'll see the flags out for the exterior of that building. So if you want to get a visual, there is some earthwork that needs to be done. Most of it is fill. So, not a lot of fill, but it will be some fill.
Coming from across the road, right?
Yes,
Yeah, we're just gonna truck it from that straight across the road.
we'll pull it out the back side of here.
Everything we're filling, because we know that's gonna eventually be a potential jail site, a potential road department stuff. I'll get there. We're just gonna move that there.
How much steel? Would it be better to cut a line?
Now, we talked about that step down.
Well,
A little bit,
I mean-
roll, I wanna keep this water right here, everything from my place right here going down the drive, it all continues to go down 98. So we'll leave that berm there and roll this down to your level, keep the berm here. We gotta be back behind us, there's a fire line and a water line right here that's 60 foot off, we gotta stay on this side of it anyway. So we'll keep that berm there and then go and roll it down to the level we want. But the main field is gonna be right through here, everything else is not bad.
We said
Lower
5
this up
foot.
here, probably 8, between this high point here and this low point right down here.
So it'd be 4 feet of field.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to split the difference right. That would be my idea of it.
And more of it is to keep from having any steps, is the reason we're talking about filling, because a lot of it's gonna be in the parking area. The parking area is the lowest point, and I'm trying to get away from steps.
You'd use a forced main then to put the sanitary waste back to Danielsville.
Actually, it's gravity, because our line currently is here, our line currently is here on this little road. Goes behind the health department here, so we just go from here, bore under, tie to that line.
Everything from
Can you scroll
Urban Kirk
down just a little
Road,
bit?
everything from Urban Kirk Road coming back
There you
to
go.
Gravity, coming right in front of the health department, going right down this road right here. And
To a
then
lift
once it hits our lift station out here, then it's a force main going back the opposite way. So currently, the library is on gravity fed. When they did the addition to it, it's going across the road and it's gravity fed all the way down the force main back. So there's actually already a force main down here at the jail that we're utilizing.
But we do have a gravity line to tie into, sir.
But everything from Urban Kirk Road, everything up here is gravity fed that way. Look forward.
We agree. We don't know why they gravitated it the wrong way and then forced it back the other way.
I may be mistaken, but which side of the road is forced main from the jail?
Same side.
They're both on that.
It's force main because of the dip. When they put it in, they didn't lateral bore it. They just put it in so many feet deep and followed the contour. So that's why it's force main up into Danielsville.
Well, I thought that, well, it's forced main because by the time it got to Danielsville, it would have been 20 foot deep. But I thought that the force main from the jail came up to 98, and I thought that there was a pump station on the side of the library that pumps it and connects to that force main.
That's correct.
No.
It's all gravity. That one rolls.
It force mains to that house right there after the round, across from whatever they're building by the roundabout. There's a,
That's where the line
That's where
runs
it
from
dumps
there.
in at right there.
it's only 3 foot deep there.
Because the actual senior center has been on septic.
Yeah.
It still is right now.
Still is right now, it's fixing to
Capability,
get swapped over. Because it's failing.
because everything from the splash pad is pumped up to that same line right there, and then it's gravity fed from there.
It air breaks between the library and the senior center.
All right.
Alright.
On this plan right here though, for office / courts, whether it's covered or not. You said Shelley and Angela looked at this?
Yeah. This is actually modeled after a couple of other complexes around Georgia.
Pickleball, we go through this, I don't want to have complaints about how noisy it is. How noisy it is. In pickleball courts, you can generate some noise, and if you got a roof on this, it's gonna be loud.
Well, it'll be a high roof. I mean, there's gonna be some height, and I don't want it to echo.
Well, I'm not saying it's not a good idea, I'm just saying. it's a
We
thought.
catch hell about pickleball, and I'll be honest with you, I talked to the lady that's on the pickleball team. There's 35 current members, but if you think it's 3,500, the way they complain. I mean, if you really want to break pickleball out, it's for people too old to play tennis, and it's really driven by the orthopedic surgeon. They ought to be funding this building, because all the patients is going to them.
Call this?
Do I?
But,
Yeah, I don't mind if it's recorded or not,
Okay.
I'm
I
being
think
honest.
where Derek might be going is, I don't have a problem with it being, having pickleball courts.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even if you watch this 6 o'clock news now,
It's big.
neighbors complain about pickleball, and if you're gonna have offices that you maintain next to it, and this is just me hearing from where we've done a building very similar to this.
Yeah.
And 6 months after we finished it, they came in and swapped where the basketball courts and the pickleball courts were to get it away from the occupied space.
And we can do that, that's not a problem.
You know,
I'm still under the same footprint, whether I put them on the right or
Yeah,
whether I
that's
put them on the left.
That's what I'm, I mean, in my mind, and I know for a fact that happened, because I drove up to the building and recognized it wasn't the building that I walked out of.
So, yeah, if you think it'd be better to flip-flop those, we can do that when we get to that point. But originally, there'll be a concrete pad there.
And you might as well, I mean, I understand the idea about the nets, but you might as well go ahead, especially on the two outside corners, building faces, if you would. You might as well go put a small diameter chain link fence, because the nets are gonna get ruined, and they're gonna get old, and they're gonna,
Ready.
yeah, and if you, on the tennis court side, that's probably more appropriate.
It might do better for ball control also to keep them going so far when they lose it.
If people try to pick it up, or if you gotta anchor it down, how do you,
We can figure that out. That's no problem. I'm trying to get the actual structure, we can pick out colors and little things.
I'd like see some kind of design layout with the office part. That was huge.
Well, it is.
That's 6 times more than the office space that they have now.
Well, you gotta remember, you want restrooms in there, then, if it does, but it's like you said, there's still a lot of space.
It's 40 by 120, but you gotta think about they're in a 2-story building, and the basement is technically storage. Because they keep all the ball equipment in it, they keep all the soccer balls, all the bats, all of that. There's a whole lot of equipment that's being stored over there.
What is your eve height, though? I mean, have y'all thought about that?
Yeah, it's, eve height is probably gonna be 20, 24 feet. It's really gonna be based off basketball. That's one thing I ain't got yet, is I gotta figure out what the arch on the basketball is. So we don't get caught up in it.
So you're gonna have room upstairs storage in that front.
Huh?
You're gonna have room.
There's gonna be a lot of storage in the front, but a potential area, if we wanna build a small, on the pickleball, basketball court, if we wanna have a roll-up, like they got over here at the football field, just, some roll-up windows, concession stand, small concession stand. It's just a counter with a bunch of plug-ins where they serve hamburgers and hot dogs.
But the office is just one level.
Oh, yeah, it's all one level.
Storage on top.
So it'd be
You have a drop.
you'd have a continuous ceiling,
Yes,
you wouldn't step the roof down.
I would not.
Go with the HVAC in there.
You can put your
Use it for storage.
HVAC up top or whatever.
We put a set of steps in it to go right up on it.
But you could,
I would use it for storage if it was me, especially if you got that much
you
e-bike.
could do a gable
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking,
Okay.
double deck it.
for whatever purpose in the future.
Does the building they're in now, does it go away in the future?
Well, also, you gotta think about the day camp stuff. Right now, if you took that upstairs area and made playrooms out of it for day camp on rainy days, they got places to run and jump or whatever.
Just careful with that, because
It's still not ADA.
it wouldn't be ADA, and if you did that, you would need to put restrooms up there too. So storage, I wouldn't have a problem
Right,
with.
just storage, yes.
But I wouldn't even consider, but what I might would think about a little bit here, and of course, it's all relevant to cost, is rather than do chain link and all the rest of the stuff, just for a more durable surface, go up and keep balls inside the playing area, maybe go up 8 foot with like a split face block or something like that, and then do your other stuff. And that way, if you wanted to repurpose the building down the road for something else, you pick it up there and go up to the E. But here again, it's all relevant to cost.
And I think the more noise, in fact, I would create more noise, I would guess, especially for the pickleball areas, I guess, I don't know. But you still have room for it to get out, but still, I don't know.
All right. So
If
moving along.
you're going, on the office space, though, if you're prepping it for the second floor storage, I have to go back and check my numbers, but it's been a while, but true dead space loading for storage, if it's not higher per square foot than live use, office spaces or whatnot, I'd basically make sure the structure of the facility can handle either or. There's no sense of building it today if we spend the extra 30 cents.
You build it for 100.
And then if you ever come back in
100
later and we can put in a second floor, and then somebody come back and say, well, it wasn't designed for that, and we can just.
Oh, yeah, no, we'll make sure it's designed to be load bearing, I can guarantee it.
And I would you got enough room on there, I'd go ahead and lay out an elevator or some sort of lift. I'll just go ahead and design it. It can be a closet for now, but at the end of the day, there's.
And they may end up showing movies up there. Elevators, no single level seat.
Understand the initial cost, but.
Yep.
There's no sense in today's world that we don't design these things for future consideration.
Absolutely, no worries. All right. So, that one just got thrown in the middle, and the reason it got thrown in the middle is because they can all simultaneously be worked on. There can either be grading going on, or a concrete being poured somewhere at one of these 3 locations at the same time. 911. 911, because of the area topo, it needs to be adjacent to the current tower in front of EMS. Now, what I have you there on that drawing, Christina, will you zoom in on this part right here?
Can we take a breath on this, wait till Bobby gets on the phone?
911, yeah, sure. Anybody go to the restroom? Coffee refill? Candy?
No.
Well, Christina, why don't she have to make a pound cake or something?
She looked like she'd have made breakfast or lunch.
I brought a handful of candy. I got a
I
drawer full
brought
of
some of those little Debbie Christmas cakes.
Hey, she got a drawer full of, well, if Alan ain't eat them all. If Alan ain't eat them all, she
Well, we
got
have
Kit
another
Kats
drawer
and
over there.
Butterfingers. Starburst.
I brought donuts the last time I come in here.
You did?
You 3 would have had them by now.
I'll bring peach ice cream. It's too cold for it.
Yeah, right. It ain't too cold for it. I promise you it ain't.
So where did you get that information?
We was waiting on you, honey.
I'm sorry. Phone don't stop.
Yeah. So I will go ahead and brief you on a couple other things just while waiting on Christina. We got a meeting in the morning. God almighty. I'm sorry, not in the morning. Today's Friday. This coming Thursday. If any of y'all want to attend, you're welcome to. It'll be Oglethorpe. It will be Franklin County. It'll be Hart County, it'll be Elbert County, and we're here with Judge Phelps, Judge Washman, Judge Caswell, TJ Bement, and we're gonna talk about this court system mess, because it is a mess. I spent a solid week dealing with the court system, and we should not even be involved in the court system. That's not even our role, but we are. We're in the middle of it. And there's 3 levels of court system. Starting out at the juvenile level, you know, last year we had to come before you guys and appropriate money for a juvenile court prosecutor. Well, we're in that situation again, but the current one we have, can no longer do it. So we're having a shop, and believe it or not, the way House Bill 242 is written by the wizards under the gold dome, it's on the Board of Commissioners to hire a juvenile court prosecutor. We're supposed to advertise, I guess, on Facebook Marketplace, hell, I don't know. But this is our job to hire them. So all 5 counties is coming together, and we're gonna talk about this. But we luckily have reached out to 2 friends. I got Clark Gully to apply, and I have, and Elbert County got Megan, somebody with Dial Jenkins to apply. But again, this is a state problem, but we're gonna end up funding it because in House Bill 242, it let our current DA opt out of juvenile court services, so he don't have to do it. Well, luckily, out of the whole state of Georgia, ours and 1 more opted out. So now we're stuck with it, but we'll figure that out. Getting back into this, getting back on topic, but there's 2, well, quickly. The other is court reporters, the pay, they're demanding an increase in pay, or they're gonna sit out, and they're gonna shut our court system down, so the judges want to pay them more money. But the problem is, the more money they want to pay them is gonna override what juvenile prosecutor's gonna get making, and he's gonna come back wanting more money, and we have to facilitate all this.
With today's technology, can we just not record it?
You would think, sir. And in the third term of that, the third portion of that is, because the DA was tasked of it, and decided to shed it, onto us, of trying to get the money from him, that was a stipend for him to do juvenile, get it redirected back to us so we can pay for juvenile. If we gotta do the work, you need to give us the money. So that's what all the court systems are about tomorrow. I'm sorry, Thursday. But if y'all want to attend, you're welcome to. There's gonna be a big crowd. All right, 911. Huh?
Y'all go ahead.
Oh, this is a nightmare. This, y'all wouldn't believe what we have to do here. Zoom out just a little bit.
I had a double life experience with you.
Christine? Yes, sir?
Zoom the other way, just a little.
It's fine.
All right, perfect. Well, move, just shift it up.
Okay.
All right, so the page you got that, it just shows a little square building on a dirt lot. I don't know if it'll work, but Brennan needs this tower. And the reason he needs this tower is our current EMS station has about a 180-foot tower on it, just to be able to send a signal from where it's located today in Danielsville to this tower. So if I try to put the building anywhere near that complex we was talking about, I gotta build a new tower, and it's fairly expensive. They want $110,000 to take that one down. So, we have this location here for 911 that we can use where we were talking about originally building EMS. We can still leave it there. Or something I came up with yesterday, I think maybe a little bit better, due to the sheriff's office here, is I want to pothole this area here and see if we can't put him here. We know this is junk and we know this is junk, but I don't know that this is. So Brennan is fine as long as he can communicate with this tower.
Where's the graves?
They ain't none.
Nobody.
We can find it.
No, there's the marker, the stones are still there.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're there.
There's
The-
markers there.
There's like a 2-grave lot there that you.
I think it's in front of the health department, that area.
I believe that area right,
To the left.
I believe that area that would be to the east, just where you come, yeah.
You think that's where there's that
No, I think that there's,
graves here?
no, I think there's, part of that old landfill is right there.
It may be. So that's why I say, I wanted to look at this area, and if this area was good, I'd like to build an EMS station here. If this area is no good, then we're gonna pothole this area and see if it can go here. Christina made a good point yesterday morning is, I don't know that we've ever drove by an EMS station.
You mean down-
Normally, they're out of sight, out of mind.
911.
911, yeah, what'd I say?
EMS.
EMS, I don't know.
It's still on EMS.
But I don't ever recall driving by a 911 center either.
So
They're usually
Franklin,
attached to another law enforcement facility.
Yeah.
Franklin's a standalone, it's down 145, like
Yeah.
going towards Carnesville from Franklin
Yeah,
Springs.
right below the high school.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
see it on the left. I don't know that they advertise it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's where.
And I did
Small
talk,
sign.
and that was the question that I had, but I did talk to Brandon about that, and he has no concerns with it being on the side of the highway. He said there's so much GMA and EMA rules and stuff that they have to follow. It's gotta be fenced, so we do have to fence in the building, it's gotta have the automated doors and all that stuff, so, but he has no concerns with it being on the side.
And the public actually has to access it all the time, because every time you register for a new driveway, you have to go to 911 and do it. So the public's going in and out of there every time you pull a building permit. So either way,
Is it better for it to be separate from a functionality standpoint? Is it better for it to be separate, or is it better for it to be coupled with something else, like the EMS station, sheriff's department?
well,
We was gonna put a solid wall in between the two anyway, if we did combo the two.
yeah, we were talking about building the EMS station 911 under one roof.
I'm just asking
Right here.
from an operations standpoint, is there anything to be gained one way or the other?
That would be a burning question.
I think that the conversations I had with him, that their biggest concern is security, and there's so much state security that they have to meet and follow. That could be the tricky part when you combine, two departments under one roof, how to secure that.
So location on this is the only thing that, honestly, it don't matter. As long as we're in that general vicinity
Yeah.
of that tower, that's what matters because of our elevation changes.
Would there be cabling that goes from this building to the tower?
Yes. We already have fibers.
It would seem the most logical place for me then
Yeah.
to be as close to the towers as we can get it.
That's-
Because if you don't, if you put it further to the east, then we're gonna take space that at some point,
Our fiber already runs down through here. So they're gonna tie on the fiber to get that tower. We'll have communicate, we got conduits that goes back and forth here anyway.
It's not conduits.
Well, yeah.
we,
So it's still all within proximity, but I feel like potholing is gonna probably detail where we can put it where we can. Because we won't make a mistake that was made prior.
and that's gonna take, to really understand that, that'll take either ground radar or get a geohydro out here to do.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about calling Nutter and Associates back. They're the ones that did it across the road, the direct department.
The only reason I'm really, and it really don't matter to me at all. The only reason I'm trying not to put it here and would rather put it there, if acceptable, is because eventually this is gonna be a lot of other things. Scroll down just a little bit. So we know, there you go, perfect. We know this will eventually be the main entrance for the future road department and all the equipment. Well, it's also gonna be an area for the jail, future expansion. Now, we're talking about 10, 15 years, for them. But, I'm just trying to keep everything as far away from the 911 center as I can get, dust, everything else. Zoom in on that building right there, please. Actually, if you want to zoom in both of these two right here. There you go, perfect. So this current building, once EMS gets out of this building and into their new building, we're gonna split that thing 3 ways. That wing on the back right there is a big training facility. And there's your main front doors. There's another set of front doors. Again, we can bring the water department over here into a third of it. We can have the maintenance offices in a third of it. That bay area right there can technically be the buildings that they currently use for sign storage and offices. They're just a whole wing that they use now under pole barns and a little bit of office area for storage. It'll become that bay area of that building. So Irene will have a bathroom inside for the first time in 100 years.
So our goal.
Pretty good move.
Our goal was, once we move the water and road department there, then that frees up the current water department building.
Correct.
And we can move probation there. So then you got probation, the district attorney, all of those off of that Rock Quarry Road. And then that empties out the old jail.
Which then can be bulldozed. Again, that's the reason we laid them out in arrows, because they all have to take place in sequence in order to free up the next spot. But then the old jail goes away, because that is a massive liability where that thing's sitting there on our insurance.
Head Start still on that.
They're in the middle section.
On that
Yeah,
road.
DA's first, they're second, and then the water department's third.
Advantage is in that second building
Yeah.
too.
That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Because of the clientele that the probation officer or office sees, we need to be very careful about before we locate the probation office, that we don't put it in a place, then someone comes up and says, you've got people there that aren't supposed to be
Yeah.
in proximity to kids. Just, I mean,
Yeah, used to having the same building as a 4-H office.
Yes.
Not a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, that's an overview of the scope of work. The only thing I left off, the only thing I did leave off
All would go to the probation office like the 4-H.
was the ball fields here, where the new facility's gonna be here, is at that point, we could clear off this corner if we needed to for potential parking, and that would take the old office building out. Keeping in mind, we're probably 2 years away to move some of these outbuildings to go over here for equipment storage over here. The last thing we'll touch is the actual maintenance facility, because believe it or not, it's better if all this was there, and that was nothing more than a mechanic shop, which could be moved again when we get to that point.
So the fuel island, it's staying where it's at.
Fuel island, stay where it's at. It's 6 to 1, half does the other on which side of the road it's on, because it really don't matter. It's a $600,000 move, and it's just $600,000 in the next 3 years if we ain't got to move it.
We will have to do an upgrade on pumps probably,
Yeah.
because those are pretty, well, we're not having trouble with them, hopefully we don't. We might do an upgrade on pumps, but that should be very minimal
But I think we'll,
overall.
if we cover these 4 bases right here, we'll be looking good for about 5 or 10 years. At least, we won't have to worry about any of these for next 20-something years. But then we can focus on 5 years, 10 years down the road of what the rec department's gonna eventually look like. And we'll cover all those other bases. So, that's
So
my
in this
overview.
room, in this whole conversation, are there any holes that we're missing in the thought process?
Not that I'm aware of, but that's what y'all are here for to tell us.
I still want the question answered, what we're gonna do with land at the transfer station, if we're not gonna put a road department there, heavy equipment activity there. I understand it might have some benefit right there, but if it's just a chunk of land that's just gonna be there and nobody's ever gonna use it, why do we have it?
And so,
So,
we're fixing to put some land on the market.
I don't know that the lower section has anything to do with the actual landfill. The lower section Derek's talking about and everything. It's just a wide open spot right now. I mean, and there is a water line coming in feeding us somewhere through that. I don't know exactly where it's at, but I know it's going through that property somewhere, but that can be redone if we have to on that.
Well, there's a whole lot of trees right there.
Yeah, this is the main lot right here. Yeah, as far as I know, all the current landfill and stuff is more in this area. Right here, we have all our methane wells, but they actually go all the way back behind where you throw your trash in the metal pile. We got methane wells all the way back through here, this area, right through here. So I know we never could do nothing, and all the way up the side, we got an inspection next week. Go and inspect those. But this area right here, yes, they just inquired, bought that whenever they bought this whole piece.
The city water, where's it stop at? I mean, I know city water goes to the transfer station.
Is it right here?
I don't know where our line does feed from this area right here, and it comes into the backside.
The only reason I ask is because we're gonna need city water on that property if it's ever sold and or developed into something. Because wells would not be a wise move.
No, they're not gonna let you do anything with it,
Yeah.
so. That'd be some type of line.
I thought we talked about this property here, something about the fall,
Floodplain?
the.
There's only a little bit that is actually buildable. If you bring in your flood maps and your there you go.
Our best case scenario is to sell the road
I think it's
frontage off.
12 acres, I think, is buildable. I think that's what once you scope that out right there.
What was you wanting to do with it?
He talked about the road department.
Yeah, we
One time down
can
there.
consider that as a potential location for road department. One of the thoughts is you're creating a lot of county traffic by having a road department and sheriff department, and of course EMS was there, but if you move that takes that out of the picture. Anyway, we're just thinking to make sure we weren't creating a problem by having everything right there. And this is a problem that we already have, so is it better for the road department to be there?
Yeah,
It's just a question.
The problem we run into with that particular location for a road department is one end of it's great. You hit Highway 72, no problem. But the other end of it is you're gonna be running up and down Madison Street. Or you're gonna run up and down that other little Mickey Mouse road. It dead ends into a road that has no turning radius onto Scout Hut. Yeah, so it's a one-way in, one-way out with a truck and trailer of any sorts, every day. And because we run those trucks every day.
And Scout Hut's built up with subdivision
Oh, my goodness.
area now.
Yeah.
So you don't want that.
So if it was me, I'd sell 5 acre lots down the side of that road and let them build a house. That's really all that's good for. But, okay, so now let's talk about the funding mechanisms. First off, do y'all have any questions for Paul? Because Paul would like to get to Gatlinburg yesterday. And he's here to answer any questions we may have. Paul, between you and Alan, are y'all comfortable facilitating GC&S?
100%. So, Alan, you talked to the state about the road or something the other day. Is that who was out there flagging it?
98?
Yeah.
No.
Who is that?
I don't know what they're flagging out for. That's somebody else called in that location. That's not on my location. Mine's just on this side for the recreation department.
So the only other thing, and I know it doesn't pertain to this conversation, but I hope you guys will keep it in mind. I've spoken with Scott Sapp. I've spoken with the state rep person for our area as far as sanitation and where we have that lift station right now, you know, the one where we're talking about down by the jail. The possibilities of that becoming an actual treatment plant are pretty good with open air discharge. That would become a revenue eventually. It's not going to pay itself off quickly, but we would be able to treat it. We're not going to pay for waste treatment, and we'd have an open air discharge. And whatever you build back there, we can take it. It would be gravity pretty much from Bail Bonds guy to whatever the name of that road is down there, Brewer Phillips or something. That's just something to keep in mind. As far as the order of these things going, I don't see a problem with it at all. I'm with some of the stuff you guys are saying. I'm with you. Some of it, no. But having a set of plans, I'm all about it. We got a stamp set. Reaching out to the people who are going to use these buildings, I think is critical. I don't think that's been done in the past. I haven't been here long enough to know. And I got copies of all your meetings, your special meetings about all this stuff. And it looks like, from what I've read, you guys have already approved all this stuff. And when I was in the process of moving here, there was a thing going on where the county people decided where they wanted things done and how they wanted, what was that called?
Combination plan?
Yeah. And ironically enough, I was asked to be a part of it until they found out I was sleeping in Cincinnati at the time. And then they didn't want me on it. So, I do think that moving these buildings is critical. Getting the infrastructure stuff in place is critical. Some of these buildings, we definitely gotta have prints on. Other ones, let's get the slab on it, and then we'll pick the color or whatever you said later. But I do think, as a taxpayer who pays quite a bit of taxes, every day I come to work, I make sure that when somebody walks in the door, they at least, like with the old gym and all these things that we've already done, that we can show that we're doing something with their money. And I think this is a proper rotation of getting it going and all that. And I feel like between Alan and I don't see where we could have a problem. And evidently, you guys all know enough people to get stuff done anyway, so.
When you say you got a stamp set of drawings, what are you talking about?
It don't have to be stamped, you know what I mean? Those can go and get redone.
Talking about the red iron buildings, all red iron buildings.
They come with them, right? Yeah.
They come with
They pre-engineer.
So, getting the
You got a
pad,
foundation, I mean, I understand people can build stuff with that, but I just want to be careful is, you know, the reason those people have stamps on them is liability for us.
right, and I don't disagree.
That said right there, unless that contract that was issued under, and I would be highly surprised if it does say that we can use that set multiple times. I'm not saying we can't use it.
Well, they used it once and built it in the wrong spot. I mean, the
I sign those contracts every day, and, you know, because things change, codes change, all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, if we're gonna build it, we're gonna build it, but
Yeah,
let's be
well, just build it by
let's be very
code, it
careful
don't
of
matter.
taking something that somebody got a stamp on it and saying, I'm just using this one.
yeah,
because
getting
it
that
already has a stamp
re-looked
on
at or whatever, I'm not opposed to it. And believe you me, I deal with this weekly, if not daily sometimes, with when I got a problem in a building and I can't find whatever it is and there's no print on it. Like, we got buildings with septic tanks in the middle of the parking lot. So, I'm all about doing it right from here on.
Best place to put it.
And on other people's property.
But y'all talking about pothole, I mean, I'm concerned with the potholing on those other ones, that we don't have somebody come out that can drill it. I know you can.
That's what I meant by potholing, was
Yeah, I know.
have somebody, like hydro, or
Okay.
somebody drill it.
Right.
Yeah, I had to pay a bunch of money for my barn to make sure it wasn't on landfill. I know for a fact it was never, but it was a requirement.
Well, one, you're getting confirmation that nothing's there, and then two, while they're there, they can give that recommendation on what that foundation needs to be.
Right.
I know we all think we just know what we're doing, but sometimes.
I'm 100% on board with it.
I guess my concern with this, and I'm speaking from across the table from where Derek's at, and in dealing with counties who have attempted a construction program that is much larger than this and trying to manage it in-house. It's one thing to have a person who is gonna act as an REI or whatever, clerk of work for the project. It's something else that, okay, the county's gonna be responsible for the grading, the county's gonna be responsible to hire to buy the red iron, the county's gonna be responsible for hiring a contractor to put the red iron up, and then the county's gonna be responsible for this. But in a tradesman sense, we're probably gonna look at going outside for HVAC, plumbing, electrical, da-da-da-da-da-da. And at the end of the day, if there's a problem with one piece of the pie, the whole damn pie is ruined then.
How'd y'all do Comer?
Huh?
How'd you do Comer?
We took people, how we did Comer, and it saved the county some money, but how we did Comer was took people who had more work than they can do and devoted them to a project down there, and then during that time, a lot of stuff fell by the wayside. And if I'm wrong, please tell me.
I can only be one place at one time.
Well, more so than the employees that you have available to do that much. What our charged responsibility for me is to decide, yeah, we can do one with in-house resources, but we can't do all of this because it's gonna stretch it out.
Time period, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you give me a year's time, yeah, we can.
Yeah, and honestly, we recognize that on this one, on these three projects, as to why we've asked for bids on the grading.
And that's in your packet.
Yeah, and there's nothing gonna be done in-house on this other than the overseeing of the actual contractors that's awarded the bid. We may move a little bit of dirt just to level up for a parking lot, but we're probably not gonna spend more than a week. If so, we're going to, but we done talked about it, on the big pads we was talking about up there. First thing I said is call Gunnels, call Floyd, call a couple other guys, let's get some prices, because I don't have the manpower nor the equipment to tie it down.
When we talked about other projects that we've got going on, that the road department needs to be working on.
Yeah, and so we realized that, because the one in Comer, it was done during a time of year that we're not busy normally anyway. But it did pull some of our guys, a little thin. But again, when you're on a very limited budget like we're on, we don't have any choice. But to oversee these projects, and it don't take a wizard to read a set of drawings and oversee it and make sure it's installed correctly. And I think we have the manpower to do that. But we're not going to take on the responsibility of physically doing any of the work on this other than overseeing and pointing our contractors.
So there's a few things that I wanted to be sure that were discussed. And going back to the agenda, the rec department, that building structure was part of the land and water conservation grant. All of that will fall under those fundings, could fall under that. It meets those requirements. The fire training facility classroom, the BOC allocated the $1 million, and these numbers may be wrong, Susan, so you might need to correct me. But we've spent $778,000, the balance is $221.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
We talked about that. They actually have 53, where is it?
Yeah, 53, 120 or something.
Second.
53 plus their 180. They still have their 180.
53,000 left, and Jackson and I spoke yesterday about that also. They have 53,848.29 left. Plus they have, and he stated, they have their 180 that was given outside of the 1 million. That's what they have left to work with.
Okay. So this is, I got these numbers. This is what you gave me. So anyway, so the fire association, they are working on it, and in your packet you have drawings, how they have it laid out, exterior. They're handling that part of the project. Jackson has met with us and talked to us a few times with the building layout and the future expansion of the building, how it's going to be utilized to eventually be a first full-time paid station. So they've kept that in mind in their drawings. So those are just two projects. They're already approved, they're already funded, and we're just kind of working through those details. Number 4, for the 911 center and the health department. Specifically for the 911 center, the board did discuss at previous retreats allocating $1 million to that project in 2023, but there's no official vote on the record. So I would need to know where those funds need to come from, the final location of the building, and then I can put that on the November 24th agenda, just so for me and for the public, I'd just like to have, this is the meeting that it was officially allocated to move forward. And then Susan's got 2 documents that have monies available. What we had discussed was the one that says general fund as of 10/31/25, the MBS securities dividends, $1,078,000. These are the revenues that have been generated from the treasury bonds. So we had talked about using that $1 million and allocating it specifically to the health department, to build the health department. So that, on the agenda, got the 911 center and health department. A health department it's an approved project based off of SPLOST, how the referendum passed. So it's been approved. There's just not a specific dollar figure allocated to that building. So we would need to know, specifically how much we want to budget. Then two, if we go ahead and build the health department now, and this is something I'll need to talk to Mike about, because we put that in our SPLOST, we put that under, building acquisitions and renovations section, can SPLOST pay us back that portion? That, I'm not 100% sure how that works.
It can.
If you build it early, can't do that?
It can or can't. It can. It can.
I don't know. I know you deal more.
I have to double
I had
check. I'm
talked
not
to
sure
Mike.
about that.
Starts till 26, so.
See, it doesn't start to July 1st of 26. And if you're taking on the project before that, I'm not real sure.
I'm not either, and that's what I hadn't finalized that with Mike yet.
Oh,
You're saying there's a question regarding timing, not that it can be utilized, but the timing,
The timing.
that, how it works.
Right. It would be the timing of it.
That would be great. I thought that would be great if we could refund that money back.
And two,
because it
even
would-
though it starts in July, I mean, it takes a while to accumulate that money.
Right,
So you're pushing yourself out further.
absolutely.
That's why
So those are
our
two
thought
things.
process was to use our interest in doing
Yeah,
it.
it would, the same concept is with the bond. It's no different than getting the money up front and you're paying it back through Splash.
Yeah, but we did not vote for a bond.
I agree. So, but what I'm saying is it's a reimbursement. The same as a bond is a reimbursement of Splash funds to pay that off, except for you're paying yourself back.
but
The
I
only
think that-
difference is the start date.
Yeah, I think that the start date is the
So
problem.
it means we can't have any dollar figure for reimbursement until
Well,
after July 1.
Here's what I will say. So what you can do is, as we work through that new SPLOST referendum, and it may be that we could go back and reassign, if you, unless you, and I don't know, because I haven't seen exactly that, I didn't read that, if it was specific to a health department building,
No, it was
or
not.
was it specific, or was it more vague in general that we could just reallocate those funds to another facility?
Yeah, it was the facilities and
Facilities
acquisitions.
improvements.
So with that, we'll just reallocate it.
So what about the current SPLOST, how long does it run, and it's a language on it such that we could use?
There's only $48,000
And under that,
facilities acquisition and renovation. So there's not as many there. So.
Well, that don't include the incoming though, doesn't it? That's
doesn't
the current.
include the incoming. I mean, we definitely, if you look at the SPLOST page, you're gonna see that there's approximately about $400,000, $400,000 that would be coming in that's
Anticipate.
actually called forfeited funds from the cities that opted into that, GO bond.
Yeah, you'll wanna look at
So
that sheet.
over the period of time from here till the end of June 30th of 26, there'll be about 400,000 there that we can reallocate to our county project. So there's an option there, yes. We could use some of this for the startup of a health department.
So in the motion, do we have to define exactly how those dollars are gonna be identified?
I think that, yes, I think we need to know the dollar amount and then where you want those funds to come from. And whether it be,
So
I don't
we
think
need-
it has to get in the weeds of this forfeited funds reallocated from county projects.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that. I think we make it vague.
Investment funds,
So how close, will we be close enough to having a dollar figure for the cost of the health department? At that,
I don't have
We
one
have-
yet.
Yeah, we're not even started bidding because we need to get through this process here first before we can start taking quotes.
Would, is there an order of magnitude savings that we're not thinking about? I have two thoughts. One, we keep dividing these things up and just kind of, even though we might manage it and piecemeal it not as a whole project, you know, are we violating the intent of the Georgia Public Works construction law? Which, you know, anything over 200,000 needs to go out to public bid.
Right.
And number two, if we've got to do that, what is an order of magnitude on a couple of these projects that could be,
Together.
even if there's multiple funding sources that we defined, and like Land and Water Conservation's got certain rules and whatnot, can we combine these and have a contractor pick all these up at the same time, and you're picking up some cost of savings over the course of, I got a bigger project, so my profit percentage may go down, or the mobilization may go down, or combination of trades. I mean, you've probably seen some of that like the university.
Well, I guess there's a couple of things I would suggest. Number one, the effort that's gone into this to give us a bird's eye view of what we can do is greatly appreciated. What I guess would increase my comfort level on all this, because we've got a lot of pieces to this puzzle. And Paul touched on it just briefly about our comprehensive plan. When Ms. Hall spoke to us, one of the resources that she had at that time that she used in developing our comprehensive plan is she brought, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he was a master planner. And particularly where we've got a half a mile square area here, that 3/4 of our projects are right there. In my mind, I think it would be prudent to perhaps invite him to come back and ask, not Ms. Hall, but him, to come back and ask him, as a master planner, this is what we would like to do. Is this the best? Is everything where it needs to be? And the reason why we think it is. But the other side of it, kind of in conjunction with what Derek was talking about, we can, if I understand everything correctly, we can retain as a service, without going out for competitive bid, a construction manager, which is essentially is a different name for a general contractor. Now, that whole thing has evolved, that could put together, based on the concepts that we have, the single line drawings we have, a pretty good idea of what each one of these is going to cost based on today's market. And then should we choose to utilize some of our resources to do it, then we get the bonus out of that, the savings out of that. But if we recognize that, hey, we want to do 3 of these at one time, then it would be more attractive to that entity rather than be a 5.5% or whatever thing. They may drop it down to a 3% because, I don't need 3 superintendents out here. I need 1 superintendent on the site. And in that regard, our area, we've got the Grails, and I'm putting names out there, the Grails, the Kevin Prices, the Milestones,
R.W. Allen.
the R.W. Allen, who, and there's one more, that these guys would, and I will say this, right now, you could probably call all of those companies and say, I want you to be here on Monday morning to meet with us on this and discuss it. And with the bid market being where it's at right now, in sort of a lull, you could get a principal from each one of these companies here on Monday to talk to you about this and and tell them, I need you to report back to us in 2 weeks based on what we've got. And other than the earthwork, which is the variable on all this, they could have you prices on this that are within 2 or 3%.
Reliable enough that we can move forward.
Absolutely, because they are all familiar with this and working for municipalities and government agencies. And, you know, fortunately, we live in an area where there's just an abundance. I mean, like I say, there's at least a half a dozen. I don't know of any in Madison County. I'm sure there's someone here that could do the work, but I don't know of any in Madison County that has the experience that those particular companies do in facilitating something like this.
So are you asking for just a turnkey price? That's what you're asking for with those guys?
With the exception of site work, because we don't have topo.
See, a lot of this is gonna be way under scale for something they do. You're talking about a 50 by 60 EMS station.
Yeah, but what
You're talking about a 50 by 50 911 building. These things are smaller than most houses being built.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The bid market being where it's at right now.
Yeah.
These people have got folks sitting on the bench. They're looking for places for them to go. And they would not, with the 50 by 50, 100 by whatever the rec department building was.
That's the only one that's of any size.
And that type stuff, it wouldn't require, there'd be one project manager for the whole thing, there'd be one superintendent for the whole thing, and they would circulate that, because if you break it out in pieces, this isn't attractive. If you put it together, it is very attractive for them at this time.
So the gentleman with Hall Consultants about, you know, looking at it from that 30,000 foot view. The reason we did not go that route is because we're already pre-dictated. So the 911 is pre-dictated based on the tower. It's not an option to put it in Coleman. The rec department building is predetermined because it's adjacent to the rec department. The EMS sort of predetermined, only not exactly to the footprint, but it's still the general area because Danielsville is the county seat and it's an EMS station that serves the general area. Health department, again, state agency, county seat is where they're located. So I don't know what to ask the guy that we don't already know the answer to, but I'll be more than happy to. The comprehensive plan, and I'm not being disrespectful, I think they've done a really good job on it, but we knew what the end result was going to be before we ever asked the question. And I don't want to do that again and run up the dollar figures. In the same way with these building contractors, that rec department building is going to be a red iron building, a roof-only building, the same as basically a super big pole barn with some concrete work, residential, electrical, heat and air, and plumbing, because you got 2 bathrooms and 1 big air handling unit. I just don't want to overcomplicate this. I mean, I get it, y'all work on large scale stuff every day, but this is not large scale stuff. That EMS 50 by 60 up there is 3,000 square foot building. It's a big bay is eating up the majority of the building. The rest of it's interior 2x4s. It's not over the top thinking of metal 2x4 studs and BX versus Romex. Damn. I'm trying to, we're going to be tight on money, no matter how we do this. And I'm not interested in going for no bond, because the last bond got, just to be honest, it got pissed away, with nothing to show for it, and it cost us $400,000 just to facilitate the bond out front, in the door and out the door. If this was the Ag Center, man, I couldn't agree more. That's a massive structure. But we're talking about stuff that, there's homes bigger than these in this county. And there's hay barns bigger than this building that we're talking about. I just don't want to overthink it. That's all I'm asking, because I can't afford to overthink it. We're going to go on a tight timeline, tight dollar figure.
You mentioned one thing, maybe I think something had to come up in this conversation. I thought we built that new EMS station in Coleman, that upstairs was planned for the 911.
For the backup 911.
Backup, okay.
If they ever needed an off-site location, we went ahead and prepped it for it. As far as the EMS station in Coleman goes, to be honest, I don't think we missed anything other than one gas valve that was forgot, a cutoff valve that was forgot to get put in by the installer. Everything else on that building went flawless. I don't think we had one complaint or one problem go wrong.
Did Eddie inspect that building?
Eddie inspected the building.
Did he?
He just missed that valve, huh?
Oh, that was all he missed?
Yeah, there were several things they had to come back to redo.
Yeah. But again, when you use a licensed electrician, their license is on the line. You use a licensed plumber, his license is on the line. You just gotta make sure that the end result drawings is exactly, is documented, so you got something to go back to. Those front drawings don't mean shit if you got a change order. You gotta go to see the as-bills.
There's some red lines on that one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sure.
This building right here, same way. We could have took two drunk plumbers, or two drunk ditch diggers, and built a building better than this thing's designed. And I granted it was an add-on, but people did not have a clue. The unfortunate part, or the fortunate part is now we have people that do have a clue.
So if I'm reading
Just
all
don't
this
need to
stuff
reinvent
right,
the wheel.
you guys at one time decided to allocate these monies to these years ago, but you didn't have the money to do it then, or?
We had the discussion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we had to officially allocate. The only thing that we officially allocated was for the fire training.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that we had officially voted to allocate.
And we don't have a plan for how we're gonna fund this stuff right now?
That's yes, that's what's before you now.
That's what our responsibility is.
Yeah, that's what I
The
was
dollar.
telling them now. So,
We had to work on a conceptual plan, then we had to vote officially to say, yes.
so Susan, do you want to talk about that? I know I touched a little bit on the dividends for the health department. Do you have a recommendation for the EMS and 911 building?
And while you're coming up here, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm not to offend anybody, not trying to get anybody's blood pressure up, but we just finished our CDBG meeting the other day, our closeout for the CDBG for the $1 million for the water line off 106. The engineering on that job was $68,000 to design a 1 mile straight water line, 12-inch line. We lost $58,000 on that job right out the gate because we could have got it for $10,000, the same 1-inch, 12-inch straight line. No frills, no bells, no whistles, not 40 pages of drawings for a 1-inch line. For a 12-inch line for 1 mile. We can't make that mistake again. The dollars here won't let us do it. These are big projects, a lot of money. Little projects, a lot of money. And we got to watch every nickel in order to get these done correctly. I can't help it that the guy in the suit and tie that's got 12 years in college needs a job. I don't care how many people he's got on the sideline. I can't afford to keep him employed. That's not my responsibility. That budget is my responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities. But after sitting through that CDBG closing meeting the other day, and Armatrout sitting at the table, he's a nice guy, I'm friends with him. It just turned knots in my stomach. That $58,000, just like that, it just went away. Be mindful, please be mindful. Susan, I got to make this phone call. They keep calling and saying this is emergency. I'll be right.
So you have the sheets and the top one was the general fund, and all of these numbers are updated through, October 31st, because that's where the last time I closed the book for the month. At the top is just a recap of what makes up the funds, and below that, then I started removing what's restricted. So as you work your way down inside that general fund, you're going to see there's opioid funds, there's 911 service funds, the food bank account, escrow, and then we have our new GFA that's restricted. All those monies make up the general fund, but they're in separate accounts. Also, what had to come out of there was the LMAG funds. We already have received the ELMA funds for 2026. It's sitting in the general fund. That has to come out. Below that is where you're going to start to see these projects. So we had a conversation, but I used the word committed, okay? It was a loose term because that's what we're hoping to do is commit these funds to these projects. The first one is the rec department. That is the land and water grant. So that $500,000, I I'm showing it out of the general fund, that's the reimbursable part, that's the grant money. But we have to spend them up front before it can be reimbursed, so it's coming out. The other,
Before we go any further now, Alex asked this question, how much of that reasonably, we don't have everybody from the rec department here, can we expect to be committed by in-house labor?
You will have some equipment used, and I got about 1,000 foot of line I gotta redo, water line that John Phillips recommended, that's all the way up from the tennis courts, coming down beside field 3 and going around the backside of field 3, tying into that 30-inch drain at the very bottom down there. All that's gotta be redone with 24s, and then there's just a little bit on the far side of the track, on my end of the track over there. He wants to replace an 8-inch with a 15, I think it is, it's on the plan and everything.
So I guess my question.
There's gonna be some, and then we gotta put a storm, retention pond back behind the bat cages for all this water and everything.
So how much of that $500,000 is gonna be our labor instead of our cash? That's just.
Dan, I can't answer that
I don't see
question.
all the.
I didn't have those details.
Because I think that the grant's capped at $1 million, so we're capped at 500,000.
Right, that's where my $500,000 comes from, is knowing that that was what they committed, or that, what the award is.
That's the amount we're responsible for, whether it's being our labor or whether it being cash.
Correct. So basically what I did was I took the 500,000 out of the general that's reimbursable, because I know it's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I took the match of 500,000, which will come out of their SPOS dollars. So the short answer is, if we're
We
able
won't
to
know
do
until-
in-house in kind, less would come out of their SPOS.
That goes back to the pad, if we work on the pad, that's stuff like that.
Did that help?
Yeah, well, we don't have a good idea.
We don't
what
have
that
a good
is.
idea yet. But that part of it would be coming from the SPOS, from their SPOS fund. And if you have another page that shows that, and you'll see that it's projected, they still will have available funds over the 500 by the end of this 2020 SPOS. So whatever we save just means they have more to spend somewhere else. Back to the general fund, the next one on there is that Comer water main. That number that I have, that was what was physically voted on.
Right, correct.
And that's why it says restricted. That was a vote. Now, we're still waiting on those funds to be released. So, and we don't know exactly if there'll be more dollars there, correct, Christina? But that was the number that was voted on, that's what I used. The second one is, the next one down is the fire training center, as stated prior. They have $53,840 left, and they've been made aware of that.
We heard from them asking, seeing if they're gonna ask for more funds from the board or not.
I have no idea.
He did not say that. When I
was
spoke
curious.
with Jackson yesterday, he said that they had the 180, plus they have this, so that gave them right at 234. They were gonna take a minute, back up, reassess what they have, and decide where they're gonna go.
I know,
You know, my comment was, there might be some fundraising, there might be some,
I didn't know about the discussion or not.
so, that's where I left it yesterday.
I know that's not, if they're planning on that Butler building and all that stuff, it's not gonna go very far.
Yeah.
I know we did all the pad work last time and everything too. There's still gonna have to be the pad work done and parking lot work done and stuff like that up there.
Section
Okay, so,
6-91.
so at some point, it's gonna have to go back and be discussed with what their needs are. The next line down, I showed the 10 million, that's committed to the base amount
But
for
if
the
you have a
investment.
link that works,
And then underneath, you'll see the 1.78 that is for the health department. That's what we were talking about using for the health department. And Then the last one on there is the EMS. Now, I wrote that in as EMS and 911 because that's kind of what had been discussed up front. So it's probably the EMS to start with. But that number, I was gave $1 million. That's what they're asking to commit. All of that laid out. That still leaves us over 15 in our funds that equate to about 7 months, which is a good place to be. It's still a good place to be. We're okay with that. And then the second one is your SPLOST. Basically, the way I wrote, I didn't show any of the city stuff on here. This is strictly the county side of things. So I've shown you the actual balance as of 10/31 plus the projected, where it's going to end on June 30th of 26, and then what the planned expenses are right now that we know have to come out of there. The road department, of course, he uses that for his stone every month, and some of your bigger road projects comes from that. But on my end, the LMAG match is the only thing that I know we'll pull straight out of the SPLOST dollars. So that was 311. That's the match for the 2026. The recreation, that shows the 500 match for the land and water grants. The sheriff's department sitting there, there was nothing else except that we have to remember we're purchasing our vehicles. Go ahead.
Sure, just twice, the land grant, the 500,000.
Yep, because you have the first upfront expense that'll get reimbursed out of the general, then you have the match.
Okay.
Because we have to match the 500. Make sense?
They'll reimburse us 500,000.
Good, it comes back.
Yes,
Yeah.
they won't reimburse the second
The
500.
500 that's coming back out of the general fund.
Yeah.
Good.
The match will come from the SPLOST fund. And then, the E911, they currently have money sitting there, and so by the end of this 2020, they should be somewhere around 442,000, and that I just shown as committed to a new 911 building. We know it's going to be more than that, but that's a starting point for that 911. If it's
So we think the current SPLOST will get us approximately 40% of the way to what we have designated.
Yep. And then EMS is just shown, again, purchase of the ambulances, because that's what was chosen in that SPLOST referendum. So, and then at the bottom, I break all of that down for you guys. I show you what the projected and actual collection should end up being. I then show you what the forfeited funds, because that's not in the county numbers above. And then I'm showing you the debt service, because we'll have a payment on December 31st that'll be interest only for that $18,000, and then we will have our final payment on that bond in July of 26. And below that, you're going to see another line that says the debt service fund account balance. This is on-hand money that's already set aside for that payment, that keeps growing monthly. So total, we should end up somewhere with our actual and projected bringing in another 6.7. And then right now, we have planned expenses of 1.2. So that kind of lets you guys know where we think we're going to fall into there.
The one big likely change be the rock dollars that come out of that.
Yeah. Well, and you have to remember, the road they have this SPLOST, and then they have T-SPLOST. So most of the time, he takes the rock and gravel expense out of the SPLOST, and our T-SPLOST we kind of sit on, and that's what he uses for his large road projects that we're paying. And I can tell you, I mean, we're sitting there paying T-SPLOST also. I didn't really break that out for you, but.
So this is a good number to work with,
Yeah.
realizing that there's potential it's to be reduced some.
Some, yeah. The T-SPOS, as of 10/31, we've got 3 million sitting there in it, and it grows, you know, it'll continue to grow too.
Yeah, we may have 3 million sitting there, but we probably got 2.2 that wasn't paid out yet.
It's already accounted for.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they
It's
really
not
try to
more
use
than
that for
that.
their big road projects.
Because T-Plus really gets used for a lot of, change orders, overages, project shortfall of funding. That's where that really picks up, T-Plus does.
Very good information, thank you.
So those are gonna be the two things that I'm gonna need to know from you guys. Or on the 24th, do you all want to vote to? Yes.
So, I'm sorry, for the 2020 SPOS, which will be coming to an end right now, minus some amount, we almost have 5.5 unencumbered
$5 million, looking at $5 million.
per year.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, Alan uses a lot of his in his, rocks and.
Well, I guess that's where I'm going, is
But-
what's a recommended number to take out of that to say this is truly available?
What do you anticipate the dollars that we will have to
Right.
work with? I mean, do we have
Because it's $5 million,
historical
$4
data
million.
from the last 3 years of rock purchase?
It's usually around 20 a month, isn't it?
At least.
At least 20,000 a
I
month.
mean, I guess that's kind of where I'm going.
Going up,
What-
January 1st.
So you're talking $250,000 a year that we need to deduct from the,
So we'd say 5 million, and think we'd be pretty comfortable.
Pretty close, yeah. Can you think of any other big something, Alan? I mean, basically.
Depends on how much you wanna do on the roads, I mean,
Right.
we got 3 pipes holding,
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I understand there's always probably an emergency. You know, we can't help if something blows out, I get that. But, you know, one of the selling points of pushing the T-SPOS was getting road money dedicated to that,
that's for roads.
to allow some breathing room for facilities.
Correct.
And I mean, I realize we take money from here, again, you know, in 20 years, I'll still be saying we still get over $100-something million worth of pavement there, because it just never go away.
It's never gonna go
It
away.
never goes away. But at the end of the day, we gotta start knocking off some of these other type of items to make them usable, so we can be proud of them. You know, maintenance drops on a lot of the new stuff, and you know, and I'll say it, but I'm still looking forward to doing something with the big red building in the middle of the circle, so.
Well, we hadn't made it to that far.
We hadn't made it that far, but we're thinking of it.
So my question is.
We got trees removed the other day.
My question with SPOS is, I'm pretty sure we have collected what we expected it to generate. And I think that Mike has said, once you've reached that, you can that overage, you can reallocate it. So I would want to be sure that's what we can do, because then that,
I think the caveat of that is you've accomplished what
yes.
not just that you over collected, but
We've
you've accomplished
over-collected, but we've accomplished what
what
was
was
set out.
designated. Yeah.
you don't want to say you over-collected.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue with some people.
Mark has done better than anticipated.
But, for the old courthouse, you do have in your packet, and this was provided in that, historical structure report, there was a company, out of Alpharetta that quoted, completely refurbishing the building. Electrical, HVAC, doors, paint, the whole 9 yards, and it was $5.5 million. So, the only thing that's not in this is the elevator. That's not in this. That's all their insurances, all their things, so.
And I know we'll probably have to take bits and pieces of that, but, you know, one, getting everything reformed, sealed, I mean, get everything locked down is
Yeah.
to a, you know, that's number one in my mind. Then we can repurpose.
Well, and that's something that me and Paul have talked a good bit about, and I've worked with Alan some too, just trying to do little things that like their guys can do, on the outside, and then just like removing the magnolia trees. That was part of the historical report. I had talked to Tripp about it. Paul met with Tripp. It was just one of the things. We're just slowly internally doing what we can until we get to a point where we're now that we're getting closer to like some foundation work that needs to be done.
The foundation, you know, we need roof, and, you know, because we're gonna take, you know, the repointing that, I mean, just the scaffold alone, to try to do all that kind of stuff, you know. Refurbishing, you know, the first thing we need to refurbish is the hanging platform.
Get it into use.
Yeah. In my opinion, you know.
Right.
Touched on something there, you said you had 3 pipes, and then something, we went in another direction. I guess my question is, you're aware that we have 3 potential failures?
Correct.
Okay, and I have no idea, I do plumbing, I don't do roads, but if we have that, and I'm just throwing numbers out there, and I don't know how big they are, I don't know how much work has to be done, but if it's a 60-foot right of way and it's $10,000 a foot to do it, or $1,000 a foot to do it, we need to recognize that right now, rather than come back 3 months from now and say, oh my God, we had a pipe failure. If we got it on the boards, and everybody in the room knows it's gonna happen, then we need to go ahead and encumber those dollars so that we're not looking at this bottom line and thinking we've got 5 million, and then all of a sudden it comes out, oh, we don't have 5 million, we got, or, you know, so there needs to be, and when I hear something that says, basically is, oh, we got that covered except for, that means we ain't got it covered. You know, and I think we need to address that before we make a commitment to dollars that we are gonna encumber for these projects, that if it's something that's pending and we know it has to be done, then we need to go ahead and take that out of Ms. Susan's calculations of what's available now. Yeah, and I know that a lot of it will be a swag, but we need to go ahead and put something like that together for her. Okay. And identify where it's at.
Christine, have y'all made it to the, what number are you on? I apologize.
We just went through all the financing.
Okay.
And we've just started, I just mentioned the,
courthouse.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the things on the courthouse that we have got, and I'll go back to Commissioner Chandler's statements on this, is we gotta figure out what our end goal is. Yes, we need to stabilize it. Yes, it needs to get to the point to where it don't collapse and it don't cost us more down the road. But we gotta figure out, our insurance premiums is just outrageous, and they're going up every single year on our structures. And if we got an end goal, if we drop $5 million in that building, we gotta know what that $5 million, what's it gonna be used for, what's it gonna serve, and how we're gonna utilize it, because it ain't just $5 million, it's $5 million on top of, now you have a potential $8 million policy on that building, where right now you got a $2.5 million policy of replacement.
I think that's a good point, but I think that's the reason why we're at where we're at today, is the government complex needs to expand. But this board doesn't want to do it, they want to do something else, and then it's somebody else's problem down the road, and then we've got 6 people in one little box down there. I mean, I think you use the old courthouse for what it is. You put administrative staff in there. We talked about using the upstairs as a community facility, a community space for the senior center, rec department, whatever, rental space. I mean, I think it's a building that you got, that you're not gonna be able to build it for that.
We have conceptually answered that question. Dennis and I think you were with us, we went to visit Jackson County in their old courthouse. And what they have done there is exactly what we thought is conceptually what we're gonna do here. Renovate the upstairs so it becomes a community room, a theater, something to be utilized, and create the lower floor where it can be overflow, so you can put county offices in there that don't require public traffic, HR, something like that, that you just put them over there and use them. So conceptually, we know where we want to go with the courthouse. So that question's done with. But that's,
Is there a courthouse in the middle of a roundabout though?
Yeah, it's
Well,
around.
no, it doesn't matter, because you got a park.
it is essentially the same situation we have here. When
So they have parking.
we went there and we visited
Street.
that.
It's on the street.
What they have done there is the solution that we're looking for ours.
For the building.
Yes.
But what I'm asking is where you're gonna park.
Well, we own all the parking.
Well, you own all the
Just go ahead and
parking, but you
walk
ain't got
across the
no parking.
We own all of it.
You do.
Just walk across the street.
Well, you got a bank area, you got an hour
Then get another
restaurant.
job. I don't know what to tell people.
Huh?
Then find another job if you don't want to walk across the street.
Well, I think you're gonna get back into having to do some legal documentations on those parking lots at the hardware store, the bank, the haircutting place, George Elrod's place, all those places right there, as to who can park where. MedLink. I mean, those people didn't just go out and resurface them, pave them, and tell their employees to park there illegally.
Yeah,
There's gotta be some documents somewhere.
Okay, well, we'll have to find those, but yeah, the county owns.
And that is a mess.
It is a mess, because we done been down that road.
Already
It's a
been down
city.
that road, it's an ugly mess.
And
Because-
even going back to when it was dirt before the sidewalks got put in,
Mm-hmm.
we've got documents all the way back to the sidewalk. The county has a building with no access to it, even though they own the dirt and the parking lot. We can't park a car there. You gotta find that paperwork.
So we got a simple choice. We either fix this, we get some dynamite.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, if we're not gonna fix it.
We just gotta make it look
tear down,
good.
Sell the bricks for $1 a piece.
Yeah, I mean, we have to make it look good, but what I'm saying is unless it's after hours, if your function for the building is after hours, then no problem.
And that is exactly what the community part of it would be. The downstairs part would be minimal traffic minimal parking requirement, because you're talking about HR personnel, so 1 or 2 parking lots, that kind of thing that's, we're not talking about putting a P&Z office there. We've got a bunch of people and a lot of traffic back and forth. You're not talking about on the court, you're talking about just a single person. So that, yeah, I think that's a non-issue. But, you know, if we're gonna argue that, then we're
Well, that's gonna be
start looking for demolition, because then the courthouse project is off.
I don't wanna be arguing about it, I'll just be honest. I think that's where that planner guy that Dennis was talking about can look at it and say, okay, what's the feasibility of this building? Because if I go up there today at 12 o'clock, they ain't a parking spot one around that building left open. Because the restaurant is parking in the other parking lot walking across the street. As long as the bank's sitting there, ain't no parking lot. As long as MedLink's open on that day, they ain't no parking in that parking lot. So until before you go spend anything other than decoration money, we gotta know who can utilize the building. That's where that planner guy that Dennis was talking about would come in.
Well, the exposure on that building, unless I'm mistaken, I just gotta say this, if we were to have a lightning strike on that building right there, the first thing that's gonna occur right there is our insurance adjuster is gonna look at it and say, would y'all put the roof on the building? And everybody's gonna say, oh, we put it on 8 or 10 years ago. Well, where's the lightning protection that should have been on the building? And then he's gonna deny the claim.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we need to start, on that building, we need to start with the legal documents. As to what right do we have, other than we own a building? Because that's
Okay.
all right now we got.
Okay, we can do that. So the next thing on the list is future building projects not approved and do not have funding allocation. And what I have listed is just the jail. And what you have in your document is the preliminary design proposal that Jeff sent over to us back in September. It's a fee, the charge is $24,600 for engineering firm to draw a building and propose a price. This is an agreement. If the board wants to move forward on this, or if y'all want to think about it, I can put it on the November 24th agenda. Have some more conversations with Jeff if y'all want to move forward with that.
this would be conceptual drawings and not construction
Yes.
documents.
Yes.
Correct. So I sit in on this meeting. This is not an addition to the current jail. This is not a rehab of the current jail. This is a brand-new facility, potentially $30 million. conceptual drawing that they said the concept plans for this drawing could be used even if we don't pull the trigger for 20 years. They could still be referenced 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And granted, technology will change, I'm sure. There'll have to be changes made to the construction drawings at that point, but conceptually, that's what the 24,000 is. And Jeff and the sheriff would like to move forward with the conceptual drawings. Now, there's a lot of,
What was the price on doing those?
24,600. It said not to exceed dollar amount, so that's, worst case scenario.
Is this government here?
Yes, sir, it's
I'll
the
look
first
at it
page.
later.
Let me ask a question on the dollars. The Hope Thompson project, that's all gonna be done with grant?
the road, the widening,
It was
180, something.
No, we got 117,
yeah, 119.
17.
So there's a lot of those dollars gonna come out of that total for that Hope Thompson project.
And that's coming out of SWAT, is that right?
No,
No.
Hope Thompson is coming out of EEE money,
That's right.
which is we spend out in the front end and they reimburse us. It'll actually come out of the general fund and then just turn around and be reimbursed back to the
So
general
it'd be a
fund.
zero.
Yes.
So it'll be a-
There's probably gonna be a
There'll be
little
a
bit of
match.
spend, but yeah, we do
There'll
have
be-
30% match.
Yeah, so there may be $30,000 to $40,000 that'll come out of
Okay.
T-Splost or something.
I just wanna make sure that wasn't.
Yeah, because I didn't know, I had not heard that. So,
Yeah.
okay. So that EE,
Yep, so, I'm gonna place that on the November 24th agenda for you guys to approve that for the sheriff's office. For staff, for me, the conceptual plans are great to have, because when you get a grant that comes along, you can just pop that in there and send it off, and, it just helps. So what I would like to close with is, I know, I actually talked with some staff about this when I was putting the agenda together. I feel like we beat on some hard topics. I wanted to end on a good note. So on the back of the agenda is some projects that have been completed since 2020. So we have purchased and renovated a Board of Elections building. We have built
Thanks, sir.
We have built a new Comer EMS station. We have built a new live fire training facility. The Strickland house has been removed. We have done some restoration and renovation to the Presbyterian church on the exterior.
That'll finish next week.
And we have done a lot of upgrades to facilities at the rec department, restrooms and concession stands. We have upgraded the animal control facility. We did that about 2 years ago, concrete slab, roof, concrete walls, chain link fences. We have completely renovated the art barn at the senior center. We have done a lot of building renovations to the extension office. And then we have almost completely renovated the old gym, done everything except for the basement. And there has been a lot of renovations over there. So I wanted to end on some positive stuff. We have accomplished a lot. This board has accomplished a lot. And then I think now we're just getting to those bigger projects.
And there's a lot of small accomplishments, and I would tell you that probably 50% of our heating and air conditioning units on every building we have has been replaced.
No, we're not 50% yet.
Not at 50%?
Well, we're 80s to 90, Paul can tell you exactly, but we got about 90 different units.
Yep.
Well, individual units.
Individual.
We've spent
We spent up.
over $300,000 on AC
We
units
got hit
in 2
big time
years.
this year.
Yeah, we have.
Because they were all 20 years plus old, they all died.
Big unit.
I'm hearing something about DA's office now.
Yes.
yeah,
It
and
is-
it's gonna have to be
it is.
replaced, because it can't be
It's hard to repair.
All right, thank you for all this, is very helpful. I guess 3 kind of thoughts and directives.
Okay.
One, with the roof and the painting of the church. We, I guess, get in touch with the Historical Society and see what some signage, because if it's just gonna sit there with a fresh coat of paint, it's not like, and what their plan is to use it.
Yep.
What our plan, we gotta come up with a plan for somebody to know what they're doing, and, it's open on every third Saturday, people go in there and sit, talk, whatever it is, we gotta come up with something.
Yep.
And I think they should probably help develop that.
Well, they don't have a plan from their perspective. They made us really clear, they have zero plan.
Well,
It's up to us to come
I
up with a
think
plan.
staff has talked about that and has talked about opening it, having it open specific for like Christmas in the park.
well, again, they may not have a formal plan, but I guarantee you, Alton got an opinion.
Yes.
So,
Okay?
the second one would be the open air gym thing. I would like staff, and when I say not just rec staff, but Paul and maybe Alan, two groups, I don't know where this plan came from, but have staff on staff, peer on peer conversations about the operational use of something. I'm not opposed to it, but they need to know what they're getting into to see what lesson learned we can avoid wherever this plan came from. And then also, Athens Clark County has a covered gym or a covered court at Bishop Park.
Mm-hmm.
And in my 20 years of working for them, that's the worst decision they ever made.
Okay.
So I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but we need to make sure, that, because, you get a little blowing rain, can't you get, because you gotta get the eaves, you gotta get the building so high for the ball court and all that kind of stuff. And then just a little easy breeze with a little, you're dead in the water. So
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not a good plan. I'm not saying it's not the plan we need to go with, but the idea of if we can afford this today, then maybe we need to make sure that we can put panels on the side of it at a later date, and it just needs to be designed and built for that, and we're not just buying.
Make sure it's not a seasonal build.
Yeah, make sure, and not even seasonal, make sure, it's like we said, if it's, we need a good spot for kids to go at camp. Well, if it's a good thunderstorm comes up with some rain, well, you're gonna get wet anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I think the plan actually they did reference Bishop Parks, because we talked about it, remember, Al?
and everybody, I can get you in touch with, we can call Alex Bond and get his staff to probably give you more than you ever want to know about that.
I'd love to know it. That'd be good.
Then the third thing is, if we're gonna pick these buildings off and these projects off independently, then I wanna know from y'all. I wanna know from what, do we have time to do it? And I'm not saying we don't have the expertise to do it, but do we have the time to do it? What's gonna suffer? When we got somebody digging pipe here and they gotta go somewhere else, and then next week we're hanging, weather gets in touch, what level of aggravation if it was going to be?
I mean, that more goes back to your time frame. Yes, if you try to squish it all in a small amount of time frame, no, there's no possible way. Now, we stretch that time frame out, yes.
Did you have the time frames on here, on one of the sheets?
I do have them on one of mine, I don't know if it's.
Yeah, so we had a window of time frames for each one. I wanna say 26 was the health department, 26, 27, was EMS. In other words, towards the later part of the year, begin construction on that. The pad for, the rec department was also 26, 27, year 26, 27, based off of whether we contract out or whether we have to do it ourselves. If it's contracted out, probably 26 to build the pad, get ready, get a building, get designs, talk to people. That's great information that he's got contacts at Bishop Park, because I really want to know that too.
But doesn't our time frame for our land and water conservation fund have to be booked?
In the 26.
Yeah, so we can't wait till 27 to do, right. So, again, all that's got kind of, I understand what you're saying, but I think a collective.
Mine, that's the number one project on my list, is that one. I know we're already moving
You got a
forward with
bid on
storm water, but that's my number one thing, and it's gonna be minimal dirt moving and all that at the same time.
But as soon as you start that, everything else will break loose.
There you go.
And then
We still got
somebody's gonna
overtime.
call, and then 911's gonna want their building, or,
Well, luckily, the rec department plan, if you look at that map, they're taking out 18-inch pipes, putting 24-inch pipes in. So what me and Alan had talked about doing was dedicating 2 guys, a mini X, a truck and trailer, that each day, they just pull one, replace one, pull one, replace one, so we don't bombard it all.
The rec department does have a lot of projects coming up. We've got all that SAC, we've got Hook Thompson, we've got Old Elberton Road.
Shit, we got Brooke Phillips, we got you name it.
Yeah.
Well,
We've got this-
That's kind of the.
Yeah, that's where you're going at,
That's kind of the point, is we gotta have a
And
plan.
that's,
I don't wanna get into 2029, it's like, yeah, we've been looking at this project, but we ain't got enough staff to do it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about this rec department deal too, when we say that we're gonna pull the trigger on that, literally the first thing that needs to be done over there is put a construction fence up around the area. Because if you don't, you're gonna have kids out there playing, you're gonna have vehicles driving on it, and all the money you spend on the pad's gonna be gone. I mean, you know, there has to be some,
Gotta be some thought about it.
while we may not be using contractors to do the work, it still needs to be handled like a construction site, because the county's exposure on that is astronomical.
Gotta be some thought about parking too. And that's supposedly, that's already the problem, why we need to do all this anyway. I mean, we fix to consume the construction, all the parking we gotta have.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be so somebody need to think about that. Just a couple of comments from me. Number one, I appreciate the big picture, looking at all this way my mind has to work. I think we cannot do these things we can't be piecemeal. We've got to look at all of our total needs. So I appreciate the work you've been done. It answered a lot of the questions and concerns that I had. And I agree with Derek and Denny. This may be one that, if we're gonna do it all, we may want to seriously look at, not as much as me, as tight as I am, I'd want to drive every nail in the house. That may not be a reality here. So just think about that and know that you got whichever way is the best way, that's where I want it to be. As far as approving a motion on the dollars in November, this is me personally. I have particularly when governments get involved, and not being critical of anybody here, because I don't think that's the issue here. But when dollars are designated open-ended, somehow we figure out how to spend every one of those, whether they need them or not. I will know, somebody tell me up front what it's gonna cost. Then I can decide if I want to give those dollars to. Don't tell me we got $5 million spent, because buddy, I'm telling you, we're gonna spend every penny.
right.
You're right. So I need some cost figures first, and how that's best to make this work.
Yeah, and just for the design side of it, and I agree with everything Terry just said, I'm the same way. We were gonna try to nail you down some numbers. Whoever does this work, I mean, it will be bid, whatever plumber gets it, whatever electrician get it, whatever heat and air guy get it, he's gonna know that he's getting the other buildings as well. And be able to see those design plans up front. Even though it may be a year before that one starts or 6 months before it starts, he'll already have a design plan. He can put those numbers together on that premise of that he's gonna get that work at, as it's bid.
Well, I think one of our most expenses on this we hadn't talked about is parking lots.
Yeah, parking lots and concrete.
That's
There's a lot of parking lots.
site work, that's what I was talking, that's the variable.
Yeah, that's always a variable. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate y'all coming, trying to help us answer questions. Paul, be safe in your travels, and,
Yeah, thank y'all for taking your time today, and thanks for this information. It's been excellent.
I think it was good. I think just understanding how the scope's gonna work. And EMS, the only one I left off a minute ago with a year on it was 911 would probably be 28, unless we back up and punt and decide to put 911 and EMS in the same location. We'll probably build them simultaneously, because they're on the same pad. So we'll work that detail out here in the next few days. The location. Thanks, guys.
All right, Denny, I got you out by lunch.
Thank you. You were getting me out for lunch.
Either way.
Hey, was out here.
All right, Christine, this is for you.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, I text Tripp and said, why a dog's bird named Dogborough?
Okay.
And he said, actually, I don't know.
He said he.
Ask Denny. I said, I already got Denny's answer, I want to know what yours was.
You want?
And so, your answer is the only one that stands.
Yeah, but let me
I
tell
think
you.
you need to still ask Al's story.
Yeah, they are.
I talked to Tripp, when I was